The valleys that built you, why your worst chapters are your greatest credentials. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Latayna Jackson, a woman whose story will shake you, heal you, and remind you that no matter how your story began, your hills and valley lows make you stronger than you know. Latayna is not just surviving, she's rewriting what resilience looks like for Black women everywhere. She's a living testament to the fact that trauma doesn't have to be a life sentence, it can be a launching pad. Her insights are about to change how you see your own journey and honestly, how you see yourself. Let me tell you something right now, and I need you to really hear this. Your beginnings do not define your ending. I'm going to say that again because we've been lied to for so long. Your beginnings do not define your ending. Even when your story starts in foster care, loss, abuse, or deep depression, those hills and valleys can become the very muscles that make you stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you ever imagined. See, we've been taught that trauma is something to hide, that our valleys are proof we're broken, that if we just work hard enough, smile bright enough, and carry enough weight on our backs, we'll finally be worthy. But what if I told you that's a lie? What if the very thing you've been running from, the pain you've been hiding, the struggle you've been ashamed of, is actually the foundation of your greatest strength? I want to take you into three stories that prove this. Three women who turned their deepest valleys into their most powerful victories. And I want you to listen, not just with your ears, but with that part of you that's been waiting for permission to stop performing and start healing. First, there's Dr. Aisha Wahab. Aisha lost both of her parents when she was young, both of them. She spent years in foster care before being adopted, and even then, her family struggled hard during the Great Recession. Economic instability, emotional trauma, the kind of childhood that's supposed to break you, the kind that makes people lower their expectations and whisper, well, given where she came from. But here's what Aisha did: she worked full time while earning not one, not two, but three degrees: a bachelor's in political science, an MBA, and a doctorate in social work. Let me paint that picture for you. She's clocking in, clocking out, attending classes, writing papers, studying for exams, all while carrying the weight of a childhood that tried to bury her. She turned her personal hardship into advocacy, focusing on renters, workers, and families who were facing the same struggles she survived. And today, she's the assistant majority leader in the California state legislature. She's the first Afghan American woman elected to public office in the United States. She went from foster care to making laws that protect the most vulnerable. She didn't just escape her valley, she turned around and built a ladder for everyone else still climbing. Her story is a blueprint for every Black and Brown professional who thinks their origins disqualify them. Your origins can become your authority. The very thing that tried to silence you can become the microphone you use to change policy, culture, and lives. Now, let me tell you about Amy Fornasanko. Amy lost her hearing at 3 years old. Three, the same age many of us experienced our first trauma. She grew up in Sierra Leone, struggling in schools that weren't designed for deaf children. Can you imagine being a child, trying to learn, trying to belong, and the entire system is set up as if you don't exist? Her father eventually sent her to live with his best friend in America who adopted her. Doctors couldn't restore her hearing, but Amy found language and community through American Sign Language in the deaf community. And then she did something extraordinary. She earned a PhD in biochemistry and cellular and molecular biology from the University of Tennessee, becoming the first deaf Black woman to earn a doctorate in a STEM field in the United States and possibly worldwide. Let that sink in. A disability at 3 didn't cap her future. It became the starting point of a groundbreaking scientific career. Think about what that means. Every lab she walked into, every lecture she attended, every research paper she wrote, she was navigating a world that wasn't built for her. And she didn't just survive it, she excelled. She redefined what's possible. What happened to her at 3 didn't decide who she became. Her response to those hills and valleys did. And now every deaf black girl who hears her story or sees her name knows that their identity is not a limitation, it's a dimension of their strength. And then there's Trisha Gray. Trisha grew up in a small town in Louisiana, surrounded by poverty and domestic violence. She watched her mother suffer. She absorbed the message that violence and scarcity were normal. And at 19, she stood over her mother's lifeless body. 19, an age when most of us are figuring out who we want to be, and she's standing in the wreckage of who she's lost. That could have been the valley that buried her. That could have been the moment that defined the rest of her life as a series of survivals, not victories. But Trisha decided that grief would not define her legacy. She went back to school, earned dual master's degrees, an MBA and a Master of Health Administration, and climbed from administrative assistant to CEO and founder of Adidas Partners, a healthcare consulting firm. She's now a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives and has led multiple organizations as governing board president. She raised 4 children while building her career, transforming personal pain into purpose driven leadership. Her life is proof that poverty and domestic violence are not the end of the story. They can be the origin of a powerful leadership journey. She took the worst thing that ever happened to her and turned it into a compass, guiding her toward a life where she leads instead of merely endures. 3 women, 3 different valleys: foster care, disability, domestic violence. And all 3 turned their trauma into doctorates, into leadership, into legacy. This is what Latayna Jackson's conversation illuminated for me, and this is what I need you to understand today. Trauma can be a catalyst for purpose, not a life sentence. The pain, instability, and betrayal you survived can be transformed into fuel for education, leadership, entrepreneurship, and impact, especially for Black professionals who've been taught to just survive instead of to thrive. We've been conditioned to believe that survival is the goal. Keep your head down, don't make waves, be grateful you made it out. But that's not enough anymore. Survival is not the same as living, survival is not the same as thriving. And your trauma, your valleys, they don't have to be secrets you carry in shame. They can be the strategy you use to build something extraordinary. Think about it. Every time you had to navigate an unstable home, you were learning adaptability. Every time you had to advocate for yourself in a system that didn't see you, you were building leadership. Every time you had to choose yourself when no one else did, you were practicing the kind of self trust that most people spend their whole lives trying to learn. Your valleys weren't just pain, they were training. And here's the part that gets me every time: resilience is built in the dark, but it shows up in the spotlight. Every time you choose yourself, leaving an abusive relationship, pushing through depression, going back to school, finishing that degree, you are quietly building a legacy of strength that your children, your community, and your industry will feel. You think no one's watching, you think it doesn't matter, but it does. Every boundary you set, every no you say without guilt, every time you rest without explanation, you're teaching someone else that is possible. You're showing your daughter that she doesn't have to carry what you carried. You're showing your colleague that ambition doesn't require self destruction. You're showing yourself that you were never the problem, the system that tried to break you was. Latayna Jackson's conversation reminded me that we don't talk enough about this. We celebrate the degrees, the promotions, the accolades, but we don't talk about the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the mornings you didn't think you'd make it, The moments you had to choose between staying in a toxic situation or stepping into the unknown with nothing but faith and a prayer. We don't talk about the fact that your soft girl era, this sacred pause, this return to softness and rest is not a reward for making it. It's a requirement for continuing to thrive. It's the moment you stop apologizing for taking up space and start designing a life that actually fits you. So here's what I want you to do: stop letting your past narrate your future. Identify one area where you've been letting trauma or a rough beginning decide your limits. Maybe it's education, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's your career, and make one bold move against that narrative. Apply to the program, leave the toxic situation, schedule the therapy intake, start the business plan, do something that says, my past does not get to write my future. Turn your valleys into a strategy, not a secret. Write down the 3 hardest chapters of your life. And then next to each one, list at least one skill, insight, or strength you developed because of it. Use that list as a roadmap for your next career or business decision. Position your pain as expertise instead of shame, because the world needs what you learned in those valleys. And invest in your own becoming like it's non negotiable. Commit to one concrete investment in yourself in the next 30 days. Enroll in a course, join a professional network, start therapy, finish an application for higher education. If these women could move from foster care, disability, and domestic violence to doctorates and leadership, you can take at least one serious step toward your own evolution. I want you to feel something right now. I want you to feel seen. Seen in your hills and valley lows, seen in the foster care stories, the parents who chose addiction over you, the depression, the abusive relationships, the single parent grind. I want you to feel the sharp edge of truth. No sugarcoating, no respectability politics, just real talk about how ugly the journey can be. And I want you to feel the buildup. If they can climb out of that, maybe you're not done either. Your scars are not proof you're broken, they're proof you've survived. And now it's time to move from surviving to thriving, from enduring to leading, from hiding to healing. Because here's the truth: you've been through hell, but you're stronger than you know. And it's time to act like it. Your soft girl era is not about being weak, it's about being wise enough to know that softness is strength. It's about releasing the cape, redefining what strength means, and embracing healing, wholeness, and emotional honesty. It's about protecting your peace as a practice and turning your survival into something sacred. No matter how your story began, your hills and valley lows make you stronger than you know. Strong enough to earn doctorates, strong enough to change laws, strong enough to break scientific barriers, strong enough to build businesses, strong enough to raise children, strong enough to choose softness after a lifetime of survival. So I'm asking you today, what valley are you still living in because you're afraid to climb? What part of your story are you hiding because you think it disqualifies you instead of defines your authority? What would happen if you stopped apologizing for your past and started leveraging it as your greatest credential? Your beginnings do not define your ending. Your trauma can be a catalyst for purpose, not a life sentence. And your resilience, built in the dark, it's about to show up in the spotlight. It's time to stop surviving and start thriving. It's time to step into your soft girl era, not as an escape, but as an arrival into the life you've been building all along. One valley, one climb, one choice at a time. The world is waiting for the version of you that's no longer afraid of your own power. So go build it, go claim it, go live it, because you've already proven you can survive anything. Now it's time to show the world what you can create.